You're listening to a Galactic Network podcast. For more, go to gncast.com.
We are the ElseNerds.
Hello and welcome to ElseNerds, a production of Galactic Network. I'm Gregor Sprague, and joining me is Chris Osborne with our special guest, Shawn Burns, who is finally on a show with Chris. How are you guys doing?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm just excited to be here.
I had the idea.
We're excited to have you, Shawn.
For all info on this show, including show notes and subscription links, you can go to ElseNerds.com. And for other Galactic Network programs, you can go to gncast.com. And as a warning, on ElseNerds, we tend to shoot our mouths off without thinking, so we will both spoil things and swear liberally. You have been warned. So I joke around with that because I do think, and I will have to go check the record books, but Chris, you are our quickest returning guest. After what,
that makes
3
me feel
weeks?
special.
Yeah. After what, like 3 weeks or so?
Something like that.
Yeah. And also I should say thank you, Chris, for coming such late notice. We were originally supposed to have a guest for actually Shawn was supposed to be my guest host, or my guest, not co-host, but guest, to plug his project, one of his new projects. But we had to push that back to a later date. Yeah, a month ago. So it's like you're our monthly recurring guest. But yeah. So we're gonna get into the news for the week, and the first bit of news is that the Flash adds Katee Sackhoff as a DC Comics villain. I sort of wish we had Corey on here to explain who this villain is, because I do not recognize them at all, and I am trying to avoid the Wikipedia rabbit hole. But Katee Sackhoff is joining the cast in a recurring role. The Battlestar Galactica alum will play DC Comics villain Amunet Black, aka Blacksmith, a steely and badass boss of an underground black market for supervillains. So the actress will appear in episode 405, interestingly titled "Girls' Night Out," which also serves as a mini crossover with Arrow's Emily Bett Rickards. I'm curious to see this and figure out who this character is, but so I will ask this: Chris, Shawn, are you guys watching Flash, Arrow, the CW shows, or
Yeah, the whole line of DC shows, me and my wife are all over it. That being said,
I'm the same way.
boat.
I watch all of them.
Nice. Okay, so I'm looking here, and yet I'm gonna say this: if they get, I feel like I would like the costume if they nail a little bit of what this picture shows. And when you go to the dc.wikia webpage and you search Amunet Black of New Earth, but she, just because like it would look a little bit too much like, oh, what the fuck's her name? She played Supergirl in Smallville, and then she was like a Brainiac villain in Supergirl, like how her character looked in there, where she's all blue. I could see this being a good part for Katee Sackhoff. I mean, and Katee Sackhoff is a badass actress herself, so like I am excited for this. I've been excited. I like how they've been rolling out all this information with the DC shows. So they already gave the fact that they are doing a big, ginormous cross-platform series between the 4 shows, but then they're also saying, oh, well, there's going to be mini crossovers between shows, and you'll get characters popping in each other's shows and stuff like that. I look at this and I go that this could be really cool. And also the fact that we got Kevin Smith coming back and directing Supergirl this next season in there.
Kevin Smith on anything just has an instant appeal for me, because I've loved pretty much everything he's done.
Yeah, and Beatmaster is asking the blasphemic question, which I will give the smart-ass answer to. What did Katee Sackhoff do worth seeing since Battlestar Galactica? She did The Big Bang Theory, where she was playing herself after Battlestar Galactica. Sorry, I had to give the smart-ass answer.
Well, I was looking on IMDb too, because I recognized hearing the name, and it's like voice actor stuff and single episodes of things and Call of Duty.
Yeah, she definitely didn't have one of the breakout careers, but I mean it's sort of that sort of tends to happen with a lot of sci-fi actors and actresses, because you could honestly say that with a lot of the actors from Battlestar Galactica, which I will point out right now. I rewatched, and okay, she was on Longmire and 24 as I'm looking at the article here, but but I was rewatching Portlandia, and their episode One More episode, I didn't realize until looking at the credits that Ronald D. Moore has a cameo in Portlandia. Not even playing himself. He's playing a separate, like a local Portland actor in there. And I'm like, oh wait, that's brilliant. But yeah, complete aside, going totally off book here. So yeah, I'm excited for this. I think you guys are. We'll have to see how she plays. Maybe she'll be a recurring, like the new Malcolm Merlin for Flash. The next article is one that we talked about this before the show, and I will point out that the article with the way it was written did trip me up. But Patty Jenkins is in final negotiations for a historic deal to helm Wonder Woman 2. This is basically, to sum up the deals, is she in these final negotiations to become the director for this. She's mainly holding out to get paid like the big boys would get paid, because, and as the article pointed out, and it took Shawn, like Chris and Shawn both knew what I was talking about. It took both of the Shawn rewording things to point out that Woman has grossed enough to make it the third highest Warner Brothers grossing film of all time. The article says behind only Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight series. I asked which ones because I was curious to know which ones they were, and actually it beat all of Harry Potter, which I love that. Harry Potter got beat by Wonder Woman. But yeah, so right now it's the top 3 grossing movies from Warner Brothers are Dark Knight Rises, Wonder Woman, and then you got Harry Potter and American Sniper, and then 2 other DC Cinematic Universe movies that may or may not have been better, or may or may not have been good. I look at this and I say, okay, this is finally, hopefully, the thing that gets people looking at, forget the gender of the director, but gets looking at their talent. Because now that we've, that hopefully people have realized, hey, women can direct great movies. We can move past this to where the point I had made of, well, what 2 movies were it, or did gross more than it, become a point of, I just want to know what those movies are for if people ask me this later as a trivia thing. Chris, what do you think about this? What do you think about, the fact that Patty Jenkins is going to be getting paid like the boys?
I mean, she did a great job with it, so she definitely deserves it. And I'm also a big fan of people having a chance to continue a story that they started.
Shawn, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, she did a fantastic job with Wonder Woman. It was one of the best movies that I saw this summer, if not the best. And, I guess it's just the way these things have to start with the person at the top. But really, I think as far as like the way you're paying women to direct films, was she paid similarly to a man before this, that she, a comparable man, if he had been directing Wonder Woman 2? And I don't think she was, and so it really has to be at every level, not just that the top woman is getting paid like the top man. This, everybody down the line needs to be paid similarly to their male counterparts. So, it's great. It's a step, we should celebrate the step, but it's also a long way from solving the problem.
Oh, definitely.
No, yeah, this is the thing I said during when they announced the 13th Doctor, that I said for Who Knew in Review. Okay, yes, the female or the Doctor is now female, but I looked at everything, like how that was a smart choice for Chris Chibnall. This is that same boat. You substitute Chris Chibnall with the executives at Warner Brothers, and Patty Jenkins is Jodie Whittaker. They already know how she works. They've seen her success. It's a no-duh move. That's how I look at both these situations. And I'm looking at, and even then, you look at before where, at the things that she's directed. I mean, starting out with, the big, her big breakout movie with Monster, and then directing an episode of Arrested Development and a couple episodes of Entourage, and actually, in all honesty, not directing a lot of things before. Like, she's only directed 7 things before Wonder Woman. That's over the course of 14 years. So that's a project every 2 years that she's directed. That's phenomenal. She's still basically unknown when this movie came out. A lot of people would be like, "Oh, she did that one movie, the one with Charlize Theron that she didn't look like herself at all," or the Netflix show The Killing and all this stuff. Now everyone knows her name, and I think a lot of people then went, "Well, what is she going to get paid this next minute?" Why haven't they said? Because the comic book industry with the movies and stuff, they've announced the next day or even before the movie's even released, because it was tracking so well. We've signed on, the director, the writer, the actors, the producers to 2 more movies, or at least to the next movie. We hadn't heard that. The article doesn't give us a definite that she has officially signed on. She could still back out if she feels like she's not getting the right treatment here from Warner Brothers. So I look at this as saying, yes, we do need to break this barrier down with the women getting paid as much as the men, and they look at it strictly on talent, judge it on their talent, not on whether they have a penis, sort of thing. And also I do realize the irony of saying that on a panel with 2 other men.
Yeah, but especially a thing like this, where in the end, I don't see the director. So honestly, if they do a good job, I don't really care who it is.
Yeah, where that is true, but you do get those directors, your Edgar Wrights, your Quentin Tarantino, who direct in a particular style that you could almost pick out their movies like that, or at least I can. I could
yeah, a Coen Brothers movie looks like a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah, what's the fucking hipster
The side
director?
I'm coming at it from, though, is I'm not watching it because it's a Coen Brothers movie. I'm watching it because they do something that I like. So if somebody just came along and completely copied everything they did and actually did a good job with it, I'd still watch it and enjoy it just as well.
Yeah, it's true. And for me, like a majority of the time, that is the case as well. I'm looking at it at the actors, at the, like how the trailer looks. But there's a few directors, Edgar Wright, the dude who directed Royal Tenenbaums, I cannot think of his name.
Wes Anderson.
That's it, Wes Anderson. I had it before, and as soon as I started talking, it's like blank. Like, and Quentin Tarantino. Those are 3 that I will look at, and actually Zack Snyder. I'll throw Zack Snyder in there. Those are 4 directors that I will look at and go based off of their like, and not really based off the trailer, based off of them. And Zack Snyder is on either side, like Zack Snyder, because I liked his work. I didn't see 300, but I like Sucker Punch. I'm that rare person who likes Sucker Punch. I liked watching
Sucker Punch.
I've heard a lot of people bash Sucker Punch, and I'm like, I liked it.
Sucker Punch is not going to be critically acclaimed, like on any list of best movies to ever watch, but it's an enjoyable movie to watch.
Yeah, yes. It's not a great movie, but it's a fun movie, and it's a visually stunning movie. And if you go in watching for that, you'll be fine. If you go in watching for, deep plot and character development, you're going to be very, disappointed.
Yeah. And so it's like, I look at those 4 directors, and it's like, I know what I'm going to get out of that movie. Now, they can surprise me, because everyone can surprise you by changing up their styles. But it's more like I will look at those that way. Everything else, I'm looking at it as, did the trailer surprise me? The other exception is Star Wars, because it's Star Wars. Like, I have still to see anything on The Last Jedi, and I'm keeping it that way. I'm going to go in crispy clean, going into The Last Jedi. At least that's my hope. Bottom line, I hope Patty Jenkins gets paid. I hope Wonder Woman 2 is really good. It is slated to come out in 2019, and I honestly hope that the DC movies are going to be better. The next story, the final story,
December 2019 release, that puts it against Star Wars Episode 9, does it not?
Are the episode movies still in December? Because I know there was talks of moving the anthology movies to like March.
The Google rabbit hole has it Star Wars Episode 9 coming out late May 2019.
Oh, they moved them. Okay. All right. Well, then that doesn't really...
They moved them because of the Han Solo movie.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I was thinking, that's ballsy for Wonder Woman to go up against Star Wars. But if you're going to, of any of the DC properties lately, that's the one. So, but it's a non-issue.
Yeah. I will point out as a final thing that, and Beat is making a great point, the issue is more of along the lines of which other female directors can you name? That is telling of how the industry operates, which is true because we've named Catherine Bigelow. No, not Catherine Bigelow, because she's the producer. Oh, God, the director of Zero Dark 30 and Detroit.
Well, Catherine Bigelow directed The Hurt Locker, didn't she?
And is it Catherine? Okay, it could be Catherine Bigelow, but and I know there are other female directors out there, but this is a fact that it is like the industry is boys club.
Yeah, well, and you just have to look at even before Hurt Locker, she was just referred to usually as James Cameron's wife.
Yeah.
So I mean that's telling right there.
The fact that we're having to think about it like that really proves the point too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's true. I guess it's because I'm always early to jump on. Okay, yes, yes, they are insert this minority here, or what appears to be a minority here. It's always more of a just I want great things by great people sort of deal. So that's how I always look at it. The next story is that Amazon is working on a Galaxy Quest sequel or TV revival. They hit a roadblock, but it's come back. And the Hollywood Reporter is reporting that writer, actor, comedian Paul Scheer has been tapped to pen the script for the Paramount Television produced series. Scheer will be taking over from the film's original writer, Robert Gordon, who was on board to pen the script for the Amazon reboot. Basically, this was going to go on 2 years ago is when they were talking about this, or 3 years ago. But they're talking about doing this, and then it got put on hold after Alan Rickman passed away, and also at the same time. But it wasn't more like one caused the other, but it was sort of like both of these things happened at the same time. So maybe it's a sign that we should wait, because Tim Allen wasn't available because he was still doing Last Man Standing. Well, that got canceled, so now there's talks that this could be possibly coming back. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Because I'm honestly torn.
Thoughts on Paul Scheer being the writer, or thoughts on this coming back?
This coming back. We'll start at this because I like Paul Scheer as the writer. The one thing I find funny, because I don't know that he actually did write any episodes for the League, because it was more improv I think he did a couple, but they don't credit him as acting in the League. They credit him for writing episodes of the League, which I'm like, he did more acting in that than he did writing episodes. Unless you want to call the writing, the quote unquote writing that he did, as he improv'd a lot of the lines. But this is also me nitpicking an article, like I did with the last article. But yeah, so I have no problem with Paul Scheer. I think he's a funny dude. My worries are more with rebooting Galaxy Quest.
Why is Galaxy Quest sacred and so many other things aren't?
It's not so much that it's sacred. It's more along the lines of, and this could be asked about other properties. Is it needed? Like, what could we get from a movie that was, from a movie from 1999, from when I was 10, to make you guys all feel old, basically about the people who were on a TV show having to then play their roles in real life. What else is there to tell with that story? Now, I'm pretty sure there are, a bunch of different ways you can go after that, but it seems to me like the TV show Revolution, where that had a one and done series premise. You get one season out of it, and then boom, you go home. Same thing with How I Met Your Mother. Now, why they dragged that show out for 9 fucking seasons, no one knows. But that was a one season and you're done. It's How I Met Your Mother, not how I gave half of New York City chlamydia. But I don't know. That's why I'm more leery on Galaxy Quest being reworked and made into a TV show.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it all boils down to what they're actually going to do with it, because you look at so much stuff that's been remade lately, and there is no sacred properties anymore. Everything is basically open for a remake, and Galaxy Quest was fun the first time. If they do something good with it, it could be fun this time. And I like the Paul Scheer addition to this as well. I have a Paul Scheer story. Last summer, I was about 5 or 6 feet away from Paul Scheer for a solid hour because we were at a taping of At Midnight, and my daughter and I were in the front row, and he was the first contestant on that night. So he was standing right in front of us. And, afterwards, He was the only one on first of all, that was the episode where he gave up his spot in the bonus round to the girl, the comedian that was from Brazil, because her parents had flown in for the show. So he gave her his spot in the final, but he was also the only one at the end of the show that shook hands with members of the audience and stuff. So, he seems like for that hour that I saw him perform, that, he seems like a decent guy. So that to me, it just makes it more attractive, though. I don't know. I'm willing to give it a shot and see what happens. Everything is open for remakes nowadays.
I guess, Chris, I'll ask you this part, because we talked about this before. It seems like either Amazon has gotten rid of the pilot season, which I justified it as that they probably haven't, that they've reworked it and have been a little bit more loose with, or I shouldn't say loose, but been a little bit more willing to hear shows out for a pitch to be made 2 series, as opposed to just straight up, okay, write a pilot and then make a pilot and then we'll see what the fans want. What do you think about that part of this? As well as everything else, the fact that they're going to go, that it does sound like it could be going straight to series on Amazon.
I mean, it's obviously something they have faith in.
Yeah.
And I mean, my Paul Scheer experience is pretty much just his bad movie podcast in the league. From what I know, I'm sure he's written some other things too that I've actually seen and just not paid attention to him writing it.
Well, he wrote the Adult Swim show that he starred in. What the fuck is the name of it?
Blah blah blah. That one, yeah. Which I can't stay up that late anymore. I have to be a responsible adult and wake up in the morning. I just haven't found a way to watch it yet. Galaxy Quest obviously, has a fan base, and it's on this list of things that I've been told I need to see that I just haven't gotten to because people keep telling me I need to see more and more things.
I always say it this way: if you like Star Wars, if you like Star Trek, if you like the other, the actors who were in there, the William Shatners, the Hayden Christensen's, the Alan Rickmans of this, you would probably like Galaxy Quest, because I gave you the whole.
Told me, I'm kind of on the same boat with that too. I just haven't gotten around to it for whatever reason.
I'll say, because I gave you the premise. I mean, it's basically you take the cast of the Star Trek, the original series, and they get abducted by aliens who think that they are the people that they saw in the TV shows. They thought the TV shows were documentaries, not scripted dramas and stuff like that, and hilarity ensues. But yeah, all in all, honestly, I'm leery of this. It's also because I could see them redoing the movie, where they're at, whether it's the same actors and actresses, and there are the points that Tim Allen is a TV material, but some of the other people are a little bit higher grade, like Sigourney Weaver is more movie stars. I look at this more of I'm cautiously optimistic on this, just because of the fact that it doesn't seem. I could see this fail, but I don't want it to fail. I'll put it. That's the way I'll probably will put it. So that is going to do it for the news, and I'm going to read a thing about Patreon and how you can help us out here. You could be our partners, and you can do that by going to gncast.com/support, and on that page you will find our, a couple things. You'll find the Amazon affiliate link, but then you'll also find the our Patreon page. That's where you can go and you could give us money, like a monthly recurring fee, much like Netflix. But with that, you will get extra content from some of the people here. You'll get comic book picks from yours truly. I know Peter Fisher, is working on an app show that's going to be exclusively on Patreon. And I'm pretty sure there are other shows other things in the works there. And the best part about that is you're helping us. You're helping us keep the lights on, to keep this ball rolling, to help pay for the costs of everything. You're partnering with us. You're not giving us money. You're partnering with us because you like our shows, because you like what you hear and see here. And we want to thank you for that. gncast.com/support. All right, we are back, and it is time for the ElseViews. This is the portion of the show where we talk about the movies, TV shows, video games, comic books, music, every other thing that might be on our nerdy little hearts that we want to talk about. So, Chris, do you got something you want to share with us?
So, being super last minute guess, I didn't really have time to think about it, but pre-orders for the Super NES Classic did finally actually happen over here. And from what all the crazy Facebook groups were saying, all of it was sold out in anywhere from 10 to 45 seconds.
Yes. So, full disclosure, I work for Target, not a sponsor, but just, and I actually had someone call saying, how do we go about pre-ordering? And I'm like, go online? Because from what I've heard from the people who have worked there has not been a console pre-order thing like there are for the games where, and sorry, audio listeners, but you go and you buy a little card thing like I'm holding up here for Star Wars Battlefront 2, the Elite Trooper Deluxe Edition. And, so I have a copy that'll be held for me when this game comes out. And they did that for one of the consoles a while back ago, but they don't do that now. And I believe they were doing some online. But because I know we talked about this last time when you were on. So I think we'll have you on again when it's actually released.
We're going to have to at this rate.
And when they do the SNES Classic 2.
So here's the thing with me, though. It's like, I don't care. I have most of the games that I want from this one anyway. It's like there's a Final Fantasy I don't have technically, but I have it on one of the PlayStation re-releases. And I've had emulators since middle school, back when you can get them from this awesome site called Plastic Man that had a little review by every game. So you could actually know what you're getting. It's not just a list and a screenshot.
So this is what I'll ask you, and I'll ask Shawn this too. Do you care that this is being that these things are happening, that we have the NES Classic and the SNES Classic, and then that there are people who are doing Apple math and going, well, are we going to get the N64 Classic next? Does this make you guys care at all about these things?
About getting what they're releasing for myself? No. Like, if somebody gave it to me, I'd love it. If I find it out at the flea market for $5, yeah, I'll grab it because I know I can get it to somebody else and get something that I want. What excites me more about it is that you're going to have people, just like with the NES Classic, that go out and, I've got these games that I'm not really playing that I've been sitting on, and here's a NES Classic or a Super NES Classic or whatever, and I can have this one thing and not have to swap my games out. So then they go sell their games, and I have a chance to buy the real copies.
I like that. Shawn, what about you? Because you have kids, so, and I'm gonna assume, like, I don't know their exact ages, but I'm going to assume that their first console was probably the N64.
Well, no, you got
Like that was released new for a few of your kids at least.
No, I think the first one they had was a PlayStation 1.
Okay.
And then we've pretty much stuck with the PlayStations all throughout, except for one exception. Now, I had the original Nintendo, and I had friends that had the N64 and the Super Nintendo and everything. And I hope I don't offend Chris too badly here, but I am not an old games guy. They hold my attention for about 20 minutes of nostalgia. So buying these preloaded, with all the games and everything, I wouldn't get much use for them other than as a paperweight, because I'd play them for a little bit and then I'd be done, because I don't do those games really, but other than for a little nostalgia.
Now, what about your kids on this point? Because PlayStation 1, I believe, came out around the same time as the N64. So you still have, the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo that they didn't really see, cartridges or, any consoles for, unless they went over to, like the uncle's house who had all the games and whatnot. Do you think they have any interest in this, or?
No. The only, I've got a 20-year-old, I've got an 18-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So, the 7-year-old might, but the 14-year-old, he's not going to be impressed with the graphics, and he's going to be, the games they have now are too good to go backwards like that. And the 19-year-old or the 18-year-old doesn't, I don't think would really care, because he's, playing PlayStation 4 and stuff. And now the 20-year-old does like the old games because she loves all the Pokemon stuff and everything. But again, she is savvy enough to go and get an emulator and get them that way. So I think a lot of people are, exactly. I think a lot of people are doing that.
So then who would you guys say that this market is for?
It's for people, it's for people like my age. I'm 30. People who had the stuff growing up, their parents went and sold it when they went off to college and left it behind. And this is their way to real quickly build up a collection and have it back. But they either don't want to or don't know how to go get emulators for themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is for the nostalgia buff, for the person that wants to play old games of a certain type, like Pokemon, but isn't tech savvy enough to go out and get it on their own through the emulators.
But so here's the thing that you mentioned, Shawn. Pokemon. They haven't released anything that plays the old Pokemon, because that was all Game Boy. That was the Game Boy, Game Boy, and then Game Boy Advanced, and Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. On the portable side, not the console side. So, do you think that, like, the only time, and this goes to my childhood, I remember playing Pokemon on my grandma's Super Nintendo, but that's because she had the cartridge that you plug it in, and you can put in your Game Boy cartridge and play it on your TV. I say this mainly because I know, starting now, because it happened today, until this time next year, I'm gonna have to answer the phone and go, "I'm sorry, we don't have the Super Nintendo Classic," or anything like that.
Oh yeah, you're doomed.
Yeah,
There's no way around that.
I'm fucked, because I think the last time I got a question asked was like maybe a month, 2 months ago. Where like, "Do you guys got this?" I'm like, "They discontinued that 3 months ago. There ain't no more. You gotta go onto eBay." And even when it came out and there was production hell, I was sitting there telling people, emulators. You go to emulators. Archive.org has all the games there. You don't need, actually, I don't think it has the Nintendo ones, but savvy people who like to buy Fire Sticks can also figure out how to play these games on their computers.
The legality of it is an interesting issue too, though.
Yes.
Abandonware, whether you think it's a legitimate argument or not, you have to admit it's at least an argument. Back when I got all my ROMs and emulators for the old stuff there was no way to play the games for consoles they'd stopped. I mean, outside of like Super Mario All Stars and some small deal re-release packages like that, that's all you had. So, I want to go play Blaster Master. I have to go get the ROM and a regular Nintendo emulator. And now all of a sudden, there's the Wii Virtual Shop, all the other virtual shops there. The fact that you can go out and buy these classic systems with the games on them. Some surprises on there too for both of them that show up. Back when I started, the only way I could play them was either emulators or going and buying a used copy. And Nintendo doesn't get a cut of anything if I buy a used copy.
Yeah.
Also, the virtual shop is just horrible because they take ROMs that people made for the way I was getting them and sell them in the store.
Yeah, they take the ROMs and they then slap a cease and desist on the people who made the ROM, and then they sell that ROM. Or at least I think that way. I mean, to tie it to an article that we were going to consider, please don't sue me, Nintendo.
Oh, we're way past that point. I've already encouraged people to go be pirates.
I like to do the crafty. Those who are smart will get what I am talking about, and will know, because you're talking to a person who reads 30 to 40 comic books a week, doesn't pay for all of them. Wink. I don't pay for all the comic books I read. I find other ways. Some of them straddle that line of legality.
You have friends that share with you.
Yes, I have friends that share with me. So yeah, I'm gonna do mine, because then we're gonna sort of get into Shawn's ElseView. The show I'm gonna talk about is a BBC Netflix co-production called White Gold. It's a TV show set in 1983 in Essex, London. And no, it is not a porn documentary, there be. It stars Ed Westwick, who a lot of Americans will know him for Gossip Girl, playing an American. And this show is created by Damon Beasley, who did The In-Betweeners. And so for those of you guys who know The In-Betweeners, it actually stars two of the actors from The In-Betweeners, Joe Thomas and James Buckley. You have this quick dialogue of back and forth of snappy comebacks and cut downs that is really what made The In-Betweeners so popular. I gotta say, I love this show. It is a British show, so there's only 6 episodes because the British TV seasons like to be short. And you're following Ed Westwick's character as he's going through. He is a con artist in here. He's essentially a con artist where he's going around. He plays the character named Vince Swan. He is the head salesman at Cachet Windows, and he is going around trying to make his life the easiest by making the most money. He has a wife who is drop dead gorgeous. He has kids, and he has his whole family, yet he's still, he cheats on them. He has a relationship with his son's teacher and all in here, and he comes across as he's unapologetic about it. The whole show is told through him, so you get these, not exactly Zach Morris, but that in that vein of the cut to camera, Frank Underwood style. The stuff is still going, but here I'm going to take a moment and talk to you, the viewer, about what is going on. Moments in here. All in all, the show is really good. I hope it gets a season 2 or a series 2, as they say over in England. And it's one of these things that a lot of people don't like. I had heard about it before through watching British TV shows, forgot about it, and then when I saw it on Netflix, I'm like, oh yeah. This is done by the dude who did The In-Betweeners, and I love The In-Betweeners. Check it out. And then watch this, and I'm like, all right, this is great stuff. So check that out on Netflix, or if you live in the UK, on BBC Two. It is a BBC Two production, so it still might be on iPlayer. If not, it is probably on the British Netflix. So Shawn,
yes,
you've been watching The Defenders. Have you seen all the Defenders, or?
I have, yes. I watched the whole thing. My kids and I actually sent messages to each other Friday morning wishing each other a happy Defenders Day. This was a big waiting. We've watched all the series. Truthfully, I've never finished Iron Fist, though I've tried twice. But we enjoyed all the other ones, so we were all really excited for the Defenders. And interestingly enough, I would stop just short of calling this Iron Fist Season 2, only because there's a big Daredevil story in there too. But it definitely seemed like the main two characters, Daredevil and Iron Fist, in this got the most story out of it. I mean, it was basically Iron Fist story with a side story for Daredevil and Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage just kind of played supporting roles. They didn't have a whole lot to do on their own. That said, some of my favorite parts are like when, and you might not have gotten to this yet. I know Chris hasn't, so hopefully it's not too spoilery, but there are a couple times when Iron Fist and Luke Cage actually come to blows. And you've got a guy who can harness his chi and, throw this mega punch. And then you've got the guy who is, bulletproof skin and unbreakable. And they basically start beating the shit out of each other. Those were a lot of fun. Sigourney Weaver, I felt, was a little wasted in it. There wasn't enough for her to do. And she kind of got, well, I won't say it. She kind of met an unfortunate end to her run in this show. And I just felt like she was kind of wasted there. But I did enjoy it overall. It's fun. It's, anything superhero to me is going to be at least a little bit of fun. And this one was, maybe that's what I have a problem with Iron Fist, is it's just not fun. This one is, Jessica and Luke meeting up for the first time, and since her show, and the different pairings as they went off. There's a lot that Daredevil and Jessica Jones do together. I did feel like some of the cameo, I don't want to call them cameos, but they were like shoehorning in what I would call the subcast of the other movies, like Colleen Wing, Misty Knight, Karen, and Foggy. And so that, like, all these secondary characters are showing up, and it's like, oh, that's kind of neat to see them, but I really didn't need them in this, this movie, So I just, that part was a little bit like, it kind of took me out of it. Like they were trying to just say, hey, look who we got back for this. But again, if you like most of the Marvel stuff that's out there on Netflix, you're going to like this. I think people are going to have fun.
So Beat's asking the interesting question, because I've seen 3 of the 8 episodes. So I saw the first fight with Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and I liked it. I liked that fight. Yeah. Was 8 episodes the right length? Because I believe the other shows were 13
usually. Yeah 8 was the right episode length for what they were doing. If they wanted to go longer, I think they probably would have had to shift to Jessica and Luke more, which might have been a good thing. But no, I think 8 is fine, because then they're going to go back to each doing their own individual shows, and then I'm sure we're going to get a Defenders Season 2, which will showcase the 4 of them again, and hopefully different style, different matchups and everything. But the one other thing that kind of threw me was I felt like they took a long time getting the gang all together. I expected that to happen by the end of the first episode, and I don't think it happened till like 3/4 of the way through the 3rd episode.
So I will say, because that part is a little bit okay. It's sort of a spoiler, but it's not, because it was one of the teaser. I believe it was a teaser trailer that they played, to hype everyone up for the Defenders, because that's where everyone meets, is basically that fight that you see in the White Room, which again, Netflix does, say what you will about Iron Fist, the Netflix Marvel shows have great fight scenes, and this was another one of those, right on par with Daredevil season 2 with the Daredevil holding off the Punisher while kicking the ass of everyone as they're going downstairs, sort of deal. Right on par with that. And I'll say, Iron Fist, the season may have been so-so, but the fight scenes, a lot of the fight scenes, especially in the latter half, were great.
Now I disagree with that.
At least filmed great. Not on par with a Into the Badlands or a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but they all have this fluid to it, in my opinion.
Maybe, and that may just be that you're better at spotting that than I am, because I'm not very well versed in a lot of Asian fighting styles like that would be more fluid. I'm talking strictly on that part with the camera. You don't see the WWE shaky cam following the punches sort of deal. It's all almost like slow panning moving, like they're a boat, on an ocean. It only does that backfire, because you say slow panning motion, and that's funny because that's exactly how I felt about the fight scenes in Iron Fist. Was almost like they were in slow motion compared to the other ones.
There is that with the beginning, especially with the beginning, but I look at it, contrast it with. I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, for example, The Walking Dead, where there's going to be more, what you would almost consider more traditional, cuts of the camera, to where it's going to be, shorter, like shorter bursts. Like you got Michonne, whoosh-ah, knife chop, sword swing and stuff like that in these shorter bursts. And then they cut the movie together, or the episode together. Where it was more almost like the movie Birdman, where it's these long, one take moments that they're capturing here, as opposed to, all right, cut. Can we get that again? All right, ready, action. Cut. Can we get that again? Sort of deal. Like these. Okay, we threw a punch. All right, reset. Sort of deal. It was always a longer, like a fight scene, closer to a martial arts movie, closer to a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or Into the Badlands, or something where they're doing these big martial arts, demonstrations, but just happen to be capturing it on camera.
Yeah, I mean, you very well may be right. I just know for me that the fight scenes just weren't as good. Weren't as fun to watch. Watching Daredevil fight his way down a hallway, and just some of the other things that they had. I just need to say, but I'm willing to admit that if that's a fighting style and you're familiar with it, then maybe it is interesting to you, but it's just didn't hit it for me.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
But I would say definitely that the fighting style in this is more along the Daredevil, Jessica Jones side of things than on the Iron Fist side.
Yeah. But so, Chris, I know you haven't seen The Defenders.
I watched the first episode today.
Okay. So, what are your opinions on the first episode?
Well, I mean, I have the super confirmation that my favorite character of them is not Iron Fist. We kind of flip around any of the other three. It's the first episode. I mean, I know, even before hearing y'all talk about it, I know that they're going to spend some time kind of setting everybody up where they are and giving them a reason to come together. The fact that Sigourney Weaver's character scares the Chinese lady is kind of an exciting thing, because she was kind of the ultimate, I'm in charge of everything over here lady before.
Yeah. The other thing I will mention is, and because this is one that has been, at least for me, been a throughout all of the movie or all the shows, is the opening cinematics. I love the opening cinematic. On the music side, it's combining all 4 TV shows theme songs.
Yeah.
In there in this nice, beautiful orchestral way. And then, hitting on the fact that, with doing like almost like Manhattan, taking these streets and then making, oh, here's Daredevil and here's the Cage and here's Iron Fist and here's Jessica Jones. That part to me, I really enjoyed. So at the very least, they're making, Marvel and Netflix know how to make great opening cinematics. And you can't take that away from Iron Fist, because that opening cinematic was also good. TV show might have been more meh.
I agree. All of them have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just hard for me to really say too much about it right now, because it's like watching the first third of a movie.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like, partially the reason why I've only seen the first 3 is, one, I forgot that it premiered Friday. 2, I wanted to get through White Gold, and also I still have yet to finish season 3 of the Voltron Legendary Defenders.
Oh, you really need to get on that.
Yeah, and that's one where like, and especially since I only got 2 episodes left,
And
or
it's
something
another
like
short
that.
one, yeah. So you're fine.
Yeah, if no one would have told me, I probably would have had the same reaction that I did with Bob and David, where I'm like, oh, this is only 4 episodes. Where's the rest of the fucking season here?
Like, I hadn't started watching Defenders yet because my wife and I want to watch it. Like, we want to watch at least a couple episodes at a time. And I just knew I would fall asleep, so we didn't start watching it yet.
Yeah. So that is going to be it for the ElseViews, and we will be right back for the ElseWords.
The galaxy far, far away feels closer now than ever before, and your guides through this galaxy are ready to help. I'm Zach Hagenbusher, one half of the new Jedi Archives podcast with Ben Schultz. Join us every other Tuesday for our experiences with the Star Wars saga, from the core films that we know and love, well, some of them, to the annals of history and the works that shaped Star Wars into what we know it as today. Just jump in wherever you'd like. Download an episode of the new Jedi Archives today.
And we are back, and it is time for the ElseWords. This is our big discussion topic, and it's sort of a follow-up from last week. A few of the Hollywood studios could launch a $30 movie rental service as early as next year. Now, you might be going, well, what's the catch? The catch is you're going to pay $30 for the movie, but it's more of when you would be able to get the movie, because right now I believe it's at least 90 days in the theaters before the movie goes to the rental places. And back in the day, it was the Hollywood Videos, the Blockbusters, and stuff like that. Now it seems like it's more the digital side of things. I think it's more in that. I think it's more than 90 days. But there's the traditional window that they've had, that the movie theaters have had a tight stranglehold over. But Comcast and Amazon are joining Apple in developing a delivery system for premium video on demand titles. These are the video on demand titles that you see that cost you money, and you quote unquote own them. You don't really own them. But they would be available 30 to 45 days after debuting in theaters. Now, I honestly look at this and I see this as, if this goes through, this is the death of movie theater chains in smaller towns. Because I look at this way. If this happens, and we had this Nate proved this fact last week when we talked about the Movie Pass story. For $30 you own, or or at least you get to rent for a while the movie. You don't have to go to the movie theaters. That's, a lot of people will do that probably over the Movie Pass $10 a month thing. I don't see how the smaller towns would be able to keep one movie theater in there, because there's not going to be competition. That's going to be eliminating competition. I don't know. What do you guys think about this?
I'm not paying $30 to watch a movie. I know that.
Well, because I know a lot of times. So I'll put it to you guys, because you guys have significant others that you would go, probably want to take out on a date. So you do, and also depending on where you live, it's going to be close to $30. So would you rather $30 and you have to go out, she has to get ready, she has to, do all the girly things that she does. You get in the car, you go, and you end up sitting, in front of the jackasses who want to be on their phone because they didn't pay attention to the M&M's commercial that says, hey, turn off your phone, jackass. As Beatmaster's pointing out, bathroom breaks whenever you want. You can pause the movie. You can rewind it even. All for the same price. It'd be virtually the same. In a lot of areas, it's going to be virtually the same price.
See, I could throw a little wrench in that. At the risk of everybody hunting me down, I live in a place right outside of Charleston, South Carolina called Somerville. So we have a Cinemark theater by us, which is super cheap, but it's getting movies the same time as all your Regals and AMCs. So I'm going up there. We saw Ant-Man in 3D for like $12 for the both of us.
Yeah.
The weekend it came out. That being said, it is the only movie theater in actual Somerville, but a lot of people from here don't want to drive down to like Charleston proper and go to the movie theater there because the traffic can get horrible. So like my wife and I, we're fine not paying $30 when we can pay like 12. And
But here's the issue with that. A lot of people, because you hit it, a lot of people, because I'm in a similar situation, where I live in Jackson, Michigan, there's, we have Ann Arbor and we have Lansing that have the IMAX theaters. We have the regular, we did have 3D for a while, but that's died down, and it's for about $20 you can get two people into the movies. For a regular picture, you add like $25 or so for 3D. And we have the glory of two movie theaters. One of them is now actually an AMC. The other one is a GQT, a good quality theater or whatever. But with yours, with your area, because there is one movie theater, if enough of the people, to where the chain couldn't hold it up, I could easily see Cinemark going, well, Somerville, they're really close to Charleston. So bye, we're closing down. There goes your only movie theater. There goes $12 movie night for you and the missus. So
which, it's definitely something I worry about a little bit, but everybody that I talk to would still rather go to the theater up there. Plus, we got this good Philly cheesesteak right there. So that's a big draw, too.
Speaking of Philly cheesesteak, Shawn, you were going to say something?
Yes, thank you. I'm actually wearing my Philadelphia Phillies hat right now as we record this. But anyhow, we'll talk cheesesteaks later. The thing with the small movies and the movie pass, I actually think that might help them, because the movie theater doesn't make money off of the movie tickets. They make their money at the concession stand. And if I pay $10 one time a month, and I'm going to even 4 movies, I have more money to spend at the concession stand than I did if I had to buy the tickets individually for each one.
Oh, yeah,
and
definitely.
I'm, well over my $10, so I got my money's worth. The theater does better. I don't understand, honestly, how this business practice would make money, because
which one, the $30 movie rental or movie pass?
The movie pass, a $30 movie rental. I mean, you're getting people to pay for gigabytes of information. There's nothing there, so that's not a problem. But my understanding with movie pass is that movie pass is paying the theater for your ticket. So if I pay them $10 and then I go and see $20 worth of movies, they lost $10 on. And I think the majority of people, it's not like an insurance practice where you're insuring, 10,000 people to cover the 30 people who have accidents. I don't think the majority of people are not going to go see 2 or more movies, thus costing this movie pass money.
Yeah, and because this is the interesting part, and to sum up for people who are coming in new or for Chris, Movie Pass basically is $10 a month to the movie theaters. It works like a MasterCard. So you go in there, and there are restrictions. You don't get IMAX or 3D. It's one movie a day. I think you might be limited to seeing the movie one time. Even if that is the case, you look at where how you can get just by your local movie theater chain. They are still getting paid every time, like Shawn said. And there are talks of AMC wanting to find legal ways of making it so Movie Pass does not work. And I believe, as Beatmaster's putting in here, the studios want to pay less to the middleman. That's sort of getting back to the premium video on demand service, where the theaters take, a rough guess, and we'll just say this is a guess, 25% of the admission price is actually profit for the movie theater. Now that could be high. I mean, I don't know. With MoviePass, it seems like, okay, yes, let's do it, because if they looked at the writing on the walls with how MoviePass was originally billed, of we'll set it high to be like a gym membership. So, you pay, 30, 40, 50 bucks a month and never use it, but you're like, oh, I swear I'll use this. I'll go to the gym next week. I'll go to the movie theaters next week. Or, to where you have to go see movies every single day to make it feasible for yourself. This way, it sort of seems like it is more of just trying to cut out the movie theaters. It's more Comcast, Amazon, Apple. I'm pretty sure, the other companies will, production houses will get behind this, of wanting to eliminate having to put it in theaters. And Beats also pointed out that the gym membership comparison also comes from you never wanting to cancel or you just forget about it, so you never cancel your subscription as well.
I think it's also look at this people to go see a movie than it is to get them to go to the gym. So I mean, I understand the concept. I just think, people who don't use their gym memberships, there's a reason that they don't want to go to the gym, and that's because it's work. People who buy into this movie pass are probably going to use it.
And the other part that I look at this, because I look at, and Chris and Shawn, you guys can probably, because I'm pretty sure you guys live in smaller towns as well. The Big Sick is probably one of the most indie movies to premiere in my town. Well, not premiere, but to come to my town. Saying like, for example, another movie that I'm interested to see, but probably will have to wait until it comes out on Netflix or on movies, is the Steve Coogan, Rob Brydon movie, The Trip to Spain. And that movie doesn't have a release here in Jackson. I don't know if you guys have it there. I could probably go see it in Ann Arbor or Lansing or even Detroit or whatever. So I feel like that a lot of people would just be like, oh, it's the same movies if this were to come true, because a lot of the other people would just be like, well, we're just going to do the video on demand thing. A lot of these independent, the Amazon, Amazon will just go, we don't need to do this because, they'll do one day thing so they're eligible for Oscars or whatever. But then it's like, we don't need to do this. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Like the whole fact that this could hurt the independent movies.
I mean, would it hurt it though? Because if I can pay $30 to see something that's not going to be coming to my place anyway, that's something that could actually get me to pay for it if I really wanted to see it.
Or, well, that's to see it a month after it comes out, does the New York, LA release. Where the alternative, like, for example, the director of Thor Ragnarok, his last movie he did, The Hunt for Wilder People, I didn't get to see in theaters. I saw it. I walked by a movie theater in Ann Arbor that was playing it later on that week when I wasn't going to be there, and I'm like, oh, I really want to see this movie, and I'd love to see it in movie theaters. I ended up seeing it through digital services, to where but I ended up just waiting, to where, because I think a lot of people who see the indie stuff might go, oh, I can do 30 days for right now, or $30 for right now a month later, or I can do 20 and I have it forever. I watch it whenever for 2 months later.
The thing for me is Charleston, as much as it likes to think of itself as a big city, it's not really a big city. So we're never going to get like the New York, LA only release things. So if I was going to catch it around me, either this or waiting for it to be on Netflix is the way I'd have to do it. Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems, I get where the production companies are coming from, but at the same time, it seems like there has to be a better way that plays nice with everyone. I don't know. I feel like it's partially to blame for the huge cities, and it's because you get the New York, LA releases where they have they got all the movies playing and all that. And actually, I do think that this beat could be hitting something. Is what could get people into the movie theaters? Do we make it better quality? Do we do ultra high definition on the screens, 5.1 surround sound, the Dolby Atmos in more theaters? What would it take to bring you into a movie theater?
Well, we end up going for most of the things we want to see anyway.
Yeah,
because I would bigger screen, and then everything else is a bonus on top of that.
It's an experience still,
yeah.
To see it in that way, especially the bigger blockbuster movies. So, I mean, for me, if it's going to be a big, action type movie or something like that, then yeah, I want to see it on the big screen. If it's going to be, a drama or, something, just some goofy comedy, I'll wait for it to come on DVD or on Netflix. But, so to me, it's just the content of the movie.
Well, but even then, so you have your big blockbuster movie and you're going to go see it in the theater. Mm-hmm. You have, and I will give it, because this is a perfect example. Both of the movie theaters now, hopefully since AMC bought the one movie theater, that they changed this, because this is something that pisses me off. The one movie theater, they have the projector in more in the corner and they keystone it. So one end is smaller than the other. That ticks me off. That I get pulled out of a movie every time I notice that. And I'm like, or they'll overscan it over to where it's going into the curtains instead of just all on the screen. That stuff annoys me.
Oh god, that sounds horrible.
Yes,
yeah, I don't think I've ever dealt with that.
The other movie theater, which is the one I've been going more to more, it's like I'll notice like there'll be like little screen imperfections on it. Like I saw Cabin in the Woods, and there's a green dot about like 3/4 of the way down. And I'm like, the fuck's that green dot doing there? And I'll get back in the movie and like that green, or that it's like some little speck thing where I'm like, that speck is still there. Should I go tell the manager that, hey, there's a speck on their screen, they need to clean their screen or something? Why the fuck is that still there? Someone remove the dots, sort of deal. But honestly, I would love if they had, the ultra high definition, 5.1 Dolby Atmos, fuck the seats, fuck the whole, the reclining couch seat thingies. I could care less about that. One, make it to where there's a button where you could say, like, that just says people behind me have their phones or are talking. I'll press that shit like I'm fucking Caesar and all that, and just like they come in, get out, and stuff like that. But then we have all this high quality stuff. Oh, I would go to the theaters all the time, even for the smaller rom-coms. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was reading Beats thing, and that would tick me off. Like closing the curtains before the end credit scenes. It's like it's sort of like with the people who leave during those. You're like, you just want to go, there's more to the movie.
Oh, I just laugh at him at this point.
Well, I did.
You don't know what you're on.
If you're going to see those and you don't know, that's kind of on you at this point.
I've actually gotten to the point now where because I found, at least with the movie theater I go to, it's the way you judge is when they pull the movie turn the lights on. Like I didn't stay through Baby Driver because they turned the lights on. I'm like, all right, cool. The one I almost didn't do it for was The Big Sick, because I saw it opening day in, when it came out in my theater, and they aired the special The Bigger Sick, where afterwards, and when I say afterwards, I mean afterwards, after they play the previous movie has been rated R for the following things, and then they played the extra stuff. Like I almost left after that. I'm like, oh, I guess they're not gonna have anything. I stand up, they start playing. I'm like, well, fuck, I'm in the aisle now. Do I just stand here?
Yep.
Another guy here. No, let's sit down. Damn, this seat's comfy. I should have sat here to begin with. Fuck. Literally what went through my head as that was all happening. And then I'm laughing at the stand-up comedy that they're showing from the Big Sick tour. But yeah, so that's where I found out, wait for the lights. I love the movie theaters. I hope they don't die out, honestly. Because I could see the argument of people saying the same thing during Hollywood Video and Blockbuster days, the movie rental, like, physically going to a building to rent a movie. Like, oh, I don't want this to leave. But it's different. It has so many opportunities to be, like for dates and to, just to go see the things now with other people and not have to be crammed in a room with them and be like, and then people are talking, you're like, shh. Well, it's not proper etiquette. It's not like it's not proper etiquette to not talk. And when you're at a house watching the movie, and you're sitting there, you're like, shut the fuck up. This is the best part. I don't know. Call me a grumpy young man.
I have a feeling that movie theaters are going to go the way of the drive-in eventually, where there'll be very few of them around because people just have other delivery methods. But
you mentioned that there's a drive-in movie theater probably 40 minutes, and I saw, as I was passing it a couple weeks ago, I saw they were playing Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm like, that'd be amazing to see in drive-in.
Telling me that.
The only thing that I couldn't do that in my car because my radio doesn't work. Fuck. Chris, I want to thank you for coming on again.
Hey, not a problem. Just
Where
glad I
could
didn't stop at the bar on the way home.
where can people find more of your things, more of the stuff that you do?
So the main thing I'm working on is my podcast, Play Comics, where we look at video games based on comic properties and how well they stay to that source material. So far, they are not looking all that good.
Nice. And people can find that over at
playcomics.com, playcomicscast on Twitter. Everything else,
awesome.
I need to do better.
Awesome. And so real quickly before we leave, you can contact us by leaving us a voicemail at 805-328-3966 or emailing us mail@elsenerds.com. We read all that and reply to it. I could say that now. All subscription options and links can be found under gncasts.com/subscribe. And that's also where, if you search everywhere on the social medias for Galactic Netcasts, that is where you will find our show. Facebook, Twitter, that's where you'll find all the overarching panel stuff. Same thing with ElseNerds. We are at ElseNerds on Twitter. Our producers are at Beatmaster80 and Mr._Fusion. Corey all of his stuff that he helps out with can be found over at don'taskcomics.com. And my stuff can be found over at that. I am at that Gregor on many of the things. And Alternative Corey, where can people find you?
They can find both of the new shows that I have coming up for this very network at on Twitter at Song Stories Pod, or Exploring the X-Files show at X-Files Cast.
And a final thing for the live viewers and also possibly listening viewers, I will be on Mind of a Geek this Friday with them, and there will be surprises there. I will be talking about ElseNerds and all these different things. Gosh, I don't know what we're going to be talking about. I'm actually a little bit scared. Please help me. But yeah, go Inked Geek Studios. Go over there on their Twitch Friday night, 9:30 Eastern, I believe. The final thing to be said is this has been a Don't Tell Glenn production. We will see you next week.
Or else.
For more on this Galactic Network podcast, go to gncast.com. That's GNCASTS.com.